Do we really need another mob farm? You be the judge. But in this video, I'm going to try and convince you that this is definitely something you're going to want to build in your world. You can see that it's populating really quickly. It's flushing really quickly. And it produces an absolutely boatloadly large amount of items. So on top of that, it's actually pretty easy to build. There isn't an insane amount of redstone. If you don't have enough dispensers, you can run the farm for a little while, get all the string, and finish it up. So I want to give credit before I even start to ilmango from the PC edition of the game. He's another YouTuber. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. Makes amazingly cool redstone contraptions, and a while ago he came out with a mob farm that looks kind of similar to this. And so I decided, you know what, it's not broken, I'm not going to try and fix it. So I just copied over that flushing platform that he showed in his video. I'm down to the bottom there, and I will show you how to build it, but if you want to see that original video, go check out the description. The dude is one of my favorite YouTubers. I guarantee you'll like what he puts out there. So anyway, just wanted to give credit to him really quick for that idea, for the kind of the shape of this whole thing. But as far as what's going on here, it's a little bit different to accommodate for the console edition. So ilmango's farm uses observer blocks facing downwards. I use a piston with a slime block and a redstone block chained downwards like this really easily. And the way that we space that out is that each floor is 3 blocks apart from one another. Yeah, a couple things just to block it all in and to prevent spawns on top of those dispensers. Pretty simple stuff. And then it's just 4 per layer. So the redstone is actually really simple. To build this is insanely easy. Really the bulk of the work is building up these floors. And then, you know, spawn proofing your environment if you have to. That is the second one. So it took me a while to decide this, but I'm not going to include any technical jargon in this video. This is not about how to get mob spawns to be more efficient. This is not about how to spawn proof an environment. This isn't about how to, you know, use the lowest amount of sub chunks and the LC values and to prevent you know, all of your spawns and your perimeter. That's not what this video is about. The video is just about the mechanical workings of this farm in particular. So if you want to know more about mob spawning and why this works so dang well, the only thing I will mention in this video is that down here this bedrock layer is level 2. And so this is pretty much built as low as it could possibly be built in a world, and it has pretty much the optimal spawn environments. This is just a second one I was doing for some testing. As you can see, there's some weird stuff going on over there. Yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way and explain that if you're coming here to look for, you know, an explanation about how exactly this works or why, I'm not going to be including that here. This is just about how to build the farm. Okay, let's move on here. So the few things I will mention is what all this too tall carpet's doing. I'll mention it later in the tutorial as well, but just to start off with here, you can see that those endermen can't go anywhere, and that's because they can't teleport to too tall carpet. So if there's a space anywhere within a certain radius for them to go to, then they'll teleport there when the water touches them, and that includes chests and blocks and glass blocks and everything like this, even bedrock, slabs, all kinds of stuff, redstone. So if you put too tall carpet on it, that'll prevent the guys from teleporting around. So what you should see, we ran out of night vision, is the second those platforms, the second those platforms start to flush, we should see endermen teleport down here. There you go, there was a couple of them. Alright, and so that's how this whole thing works. So I figured I would mention that. You gotta spawn proof the area for endermen, and that's done throughout the entire farm. That means the roof is like that, the vertical redstone's like that, even these light sources, everything. So that's how that works. You can see everything is getting pushed into the center. You could come up with a lot of different collection methods for this, but I kind of just used, again, ilmango's design, because he really did design a pretty good little machine down here. So I think that I explained all of the intricacies and all of the things that you need to know to build this contraption, the inner workings of the device. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to give you another explanation of something you could do with this contraption. So this inner workings of this machine here, this core, the spawning platforms, is a really handy device. It's really useful redstone, and it can be used for tons of different things. And so before we start the tutorial, I'm just going to pop over into my single player world where I've built 2 of these up, and I'm using them in different ways, which is pretty interesting. So if you haven't seen it before, I wanted to include real quickly just some of the potential uses for something like this. If you don't want to do some super overpowered crazy mob farm like I got here with the perfect spawn environments and the low LC values and everything. So like I said, I'm just going to give you a showcase of what's kind of possible with this type of design. So I'm going to pop over into the single player world and I will BRB. Alright guys, well welcome to the rainy single-player world. This will be quick, I promise. We'll get right into the tutorial. Like I said, just wanted to show you a couple things real quick. So if you weren't aware, I built both of these devices. We got a hostile mob farm there on the left and a passive mob farm there on the right. So I built both of these in episodes of the Let's Play series, so if you're interested in that, go check out the playlist of the Hux Plays Minecraft Season 1, and you'll be able to probably find me building both of these pretty easily. So really quick, again, this is something that you could do potentially, but it's just for fun. It's just for aesthetical appearance, and there's a lot of things that are different about this farm. You can see that the floors are actually alternating. That's because of an issue that I had when I was building this, that I ended up just deciding not to fix because I wasn't too worried about it. Turns out it's not the best idea to do that, but it still works. So I figured I would show you that too, that there is different ways to do this platform. The reason I did this is because the only redstone that this requires is a simple hopper timer. Because the floors don't need to flush and then unflush for a certain amount of time, it's just static, and it alternates. You don't need a fancy redstone device up there. So that's what I chose to do here, and it works out great. I also use hoppers down there instead of any kind of flushing platform because it was simple, it's really easy, and I have tons and tons of iron, so I figured I would do that. Also, it's very, very, very reliable. There's also an item elevator on the left here to push everything up there onto the top. This is just a simple collection area inside of this big mushroom. I'm working on it, guys. It's a work in progress. I just wanted to show you this, like I keep on saying. This is a player elevator to get you from the bottom up to the top in case you fall down. Yeah, and so that's that. This is the passive mob farm. So that flushing platform that you see there, those flushing platforms, it's universal. Those could be used with a netherwort farm, a wheat farm, anything that you need to flush platforms, including a passive mob farm. So check this out. This is my passive mob farm. Again, I built in the single player world, so if you want to go see it, go check out the playlist and go see me build this. So let's go in here. I just turned it on. Let's go down here. I'm just going to show you real quick. Of course, we don't have any tools with us. So let's go down here. This is basically the exact same contraption. The redstone is identical to what you're going to be seeing me build today in the tutorial. It's just laid out in a different way. It's behind that wall. But you can see that this is the exact same setup. We've got these 4 dispensers. We've got the pistons, the slime blocks, the redstone blocks. I've put lighting in here is the only difference. And you can see we're spawning passive mobs really, really easily. And so, obviously, like I said, this isn't going to be about how to do this, how to spawn passive mobs, how to do anything like that. I just wanted to show you that this design is very, very, very easily adaptable to fit in lots of different situations. The reason I do have passive mobs down here is because we're in the middle of an ocean biome and there's no other animals around. Same with the hostile mob spawner right next door. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to show you guys that real quick, and you can see there that it's flushing. Let's watch all these animals shoot out of there. Awesome. Well, anyway, let's get back to the tutorial. Let's build this thing up real quick. It's going to be kind of a long one, obviously, but that's it for the explanations. Okay, well, you can see that I'm starting stuff out. So what you're going to want to do is find your center block. So get anywhere where you think that this is going to be. Go find your center point. If you're building it right above the water, then you can do that. Just keep in mind what I was talking about earlier. So find your center point. Slap down a hopper. This is going to be where everything is collected, and yeah, it can fit through a single hopper, but you know, if it doesn't, we will work on that later. It probably will overload that, but anyway, just for now, you can put that down there in case you want to collect anything that's accidentally going in there. A couple pieces of cobblestone wall up above that'll prevent anything from going in the hole except for items. Pretty simple stuff. We want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 like that, and then a 5 wide here at the end. So you see that there's 5 here sideways and then 7 down here to the pillar, and then you can fill all that around like so. Keep that 5 wide thing right there intact, and then doing the diagonals like so. And then the diagonal blocks are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 diagonal blocks, and then 5 horizontal blocks like so. And then once you get up to the second layer, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's how that works. And then you could just diagonal it across like so with the extra block up here. And this is where you're going to be putting your dispensers, but we'll worry about all of that later. So I'm going to fill this in. Make sure you build this correctly. You're going to want to have this work in a very particular way to get all your measurements correct, and you should be good to go. So I'm going to fill all this in, and I will BRB. Alright, so you should have something that looks a little bit like this. If you're having trouble measuring it out, you can freeze this frame. You can look at all the blocks, make sure you got it all placed correctly. It should look something like so. We also got this wall over here, with 1 block tall wall, and this is where all your dispensers are going to sit. but we're going to do all of the redstone at the end. This entire farm, you're going to want to build the entire thing up with the infrastructure in place and then do your redstone. Trust me about that. It's going to make it a whole lot easier. So once you have this in place, I guess the next step of the process would be to make a ladder for yourself all the way up to the top. So let's count that out. Let's measure it all out. Let's put some scaffolding in place so you'll be able to actually build this in survival mode. And now BRB. Okay, well, let's figure this out. So we've got a big ladder up here like so. This is how you do it in survival mode. What you want to do is take a measurement so you can see Y9, which is our vertical value. We are at 9 right now on this top floor. So let's go up by 30 blocks. So that's going to take care of all of the normal guys. It'll take care of most of the feather falling guys as well. A couple of guys will make it, but that's why we have magma blocks down there. So let's try and get this right at 39. Exactly perfect. This is going to be where your very first floor is going to go. So mark that out. And now what you do is you do 1, 2, 3, floor. 1, 2, 3, floor, all the way up to the top. You could probably squeeze about 10 of these in here. You could go less, you could go more, but in an effort to maintain a smaller amount of subchunks, so keeping the farm a little bit lower, I'm going to go for max 10. I think that's a little bit overkill, honestly. You could probably get away with a lot less. Maybe 8 would probably be a little bit more efficient. Yeah, so let's just build all this up. You can see how that fits together. Obviously, these magma blocks were just scaffolding blocks. Whoops. So they're temporary. You could take those out. And you should have 10 floors like so. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then obviously the one all the way at the top here is going to be your ceiling. Now the ceiling, if you do want to have 10 layers, is going to sit at 79 from 9, so that's 70 blocks up. Very, very cool. You could probably spawn proof this, mark this out, make sure that this is going to be your roof. Like so. Bam, bam, bam. All right. Okay, so you're up here on your first floor. So these are all temporary blocks right here at the moment. And you're going to want to put down your permanent blocks here in a second. But what you want to do is find your center point. So if you weren't aware, you can actually look at your center point, or you can see what block you're above pretty easily by just looking downwards, and the crosshair is going to be directly over the block you're standing above. Pretty obvious stuff, but just make sure that when you're sneaking off the edge like this, you can see it. And this is going to be your center point. So mark that out with a colored block or something so you can remember. Put a couple blocks around it like so. You could even maybe go for a 5x5 just here to start off with. And then I'll show you how you can actually measure this out. It's pretty simple stuff. Like I was talking about at the beginning, all of the measurements kind of work themselves out. And so you just take one measurement and then you just stack everything and the farm kind of builds itself. It's pretty cool. So make sure that you've got your center point laid out. Let's get a dispenser just to put that in the right spot. We're going to want 4 of these per layer, like so, like so, like so, and so. Don't have anything in this block here. This is where some redstone is going to hang out. So what's going on here? You could probably guess, but the way you're going to measure it out is pretty similar to what's going on down there. You want to have this be your first block. That's your source block where the water is going to be. Okay, so I'm just going to build this out of iron. You don't need to build ice like I showed earlier. So you're just going to measure out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on all of the sides, and then connect them diagonally. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you can do like this. So the 8th block is the one all the way at the end, and then your diagonal starts a block before, like so. You can fill the whole thing in, and we'll test it to see if the water is able to flood the whole platform without going over. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, so as you add more layers, you're going to want to torch the whole thing up, because when you add your roof, this whole thing is going to get dark, and you're going to want to come through and put all your redstone in place. And trust me, you're going to want to have it lit up. And it's also pretty handy because when you do finally turn the farm on, the water will wash all of these torches off, and you'll be able to reclaim them down in the collection area. So it's working out pretty cool. All right, so then what you want to do is once you got your first floor like so, you probably want to test it out before you start building more floors. So just put a bucket of water in front of each one of these dispensers, and hopefully it should cover the whole platform and not go over. And there you go. All right, once you got all your platforms in place, make sure to light them up. Pop out the center of each one of them. That's where your redstone is going to travel downwards through. And then once you get all the way up to the top, your roof is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be quite a bit bigger. So if you built a witch farm, it's pretty much the same thing as that. You're going to want to count out 14 blocks away from the edge. So I'll just do that real quick. Do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, something like that. Then connect it at a diagonal, and then fill everything in so you get a nice roof that's going to block out all of the light from down under in your farm. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll be RB. All right, so check this out. You want to put water bucket right about there until it goes all the way to the end. And instead of putting a block right here of water, because that would make a source block diagonally, which would push it over the edge, what you're going to want to do is skip a block and put it there. See that? skip a block, skip a block, skip a block, skip a block, skip a block. So if you do that all the way across, you should cover the entire roof in water. So I'm going to do that, and then I will be RB. So one of the reasons I love this farm is because of how freaking easy it is to do all the redstone. And trust me, do not put buckets in here. Just save that till the end. That's the very last thing you want to do because you're going to have some chaos here if you don't. So it's really simple. You want a sticky piston facing downwards in that hole that you left. Slime block, redstone block. And bam, there you go. That's your redstone for each layer. Simple as that. Just do the whole thing like that all the way up. And you can see that when we get to here, well, actually, let's do our dispensers first. You're going to want to do your dispensers first. Actually, it doesn't matter what order you do this all in, as long as their buckets aren't in here. That's kind of the plan, the goal, because you can see that these are actually bud powered by that redstone block. So if we update this, actually we could give it something and then update it. You can see that it's going to bud power that. So that's why you don't put your buckets in till the very, very, very end. Anyway, repeat that all the way up to the top. There's one more thing. Once you get all the way done with that, you're going to want to spawn proof the top of the dispensers. You're also going to want to prevent water from backflowing into the corners here. So the way that I did that was put some leaf blocks, because they cannot stick to the slime blocks. They're not solid blocks, so they won't mess with the spawn algorithm. I'm not sure about these iron bars. You guys are going to have to let me know about that. If you know if that messes with anything, be sure to let me know so we can change that out. But this is how I did each individual layer. And like I said, this is to prevent guys from spawning up on top of the dispensers, and also to prevent the water from backflowing into this corner and trapping a mob in there. So there you go. Repeat that for all of the layers, and you are getting pretty close to being done with this. Alright, so to measure out the redstone area in here, you're going to want to go with a 9x9 glass box. And so the way that you make sure you have that in the right position is orientation does not matter. You can flip this around however you want. You're just going to want to make sure that diagonally from the piston that's underneath here at your top layer, you're going to want to have a 3x2 area in the corner there. To the corner of your box. So that's how you measure the whole thing out. Then you want to do 9x9, so you got 9 this direction, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like so, and then across, and that should be all the space you need to fit in your redstone. Cool. Well, you got your hopper timer in place. Don't worry about items. We'll do that later. It's also very adjustable, but what you want to have here is just remember that you've got this diagonal shape right here in the corner. That's for your orientation. This is just going to be on one side of your box. And then you can see here that the center point is where your lever sits, and that sits 1, 2, 3 above, and then your hopper timer fits in place like that. You should be able to copy that along pretty easily. So now what we're going to do is take the signal from that redstone block, like so. We're going to make a monostable circuit. Whoops, and we're going to take the signal off of there 2 different directions. So build up a shape like this. The delay on here would be 2 ticks on that one, full delay on that one. Then you're going to come underneath the full delay one and put one like that, facing down that direction with the full delay into a block, piece of redstone, and that's going to power this. Whoops, that's going to power that piston right there. You see the piston, the redstone, and the block above, and there you go. So when this activates, it's going to do a monostable pulse real quick, and it's going to flood the platform. Pretty easy stuff. So now we're going to do a little bit of a burnout clock. So when it's flushed, it's going to wait a little bit before it unflushes. So the way you do that is a couple pieces of redstone, comparator facing out of that, another comparator, and then 2 facing into that block. Round it off with some redstone like so. Put a block up here, another piece of redstone on top, and a torch right there. So you can see that now this torch is going to turn off while this burnout clock is on, and when this burnout clock turns off, the torch will turn back on, sending a signal with 2 full delays like so into another monostable circuit. So pop a thing out of the ground like that, put in your piston, and then that's the second part of it. Okay, so now you can take a redstone wire out of there, and this is actually what's going to be powering the bottom flushing floor. So you can do something like this and string that redstone off to the side somehow. But let's just put this in here just to remember that that's where that line comes from. And once again, this could be in any orientation. It doesn't have to be facing a certain direction. So another repeater full delay. We're going to want a block and a piece of redstone just like we did over there. We're going to do the same thing. So a couple comparators out of that part and then back into the block. We're going to round it off with redstone and then do a repeater facing into that original block with full delay. Right, like that. So you can see what's going to happen is it's going to flush once because of this little dude down here, and then after a little while, it's going to flush a second time or unflush the platform. So that's how all of that little thing works right there. So now what we're going to want to do, you can see that we're taking one beginning. So the first signal, or maybe the second signal, comes off of here. So what we're going to want to do is take the signal from here as well. And so we have two pulses that travel down to that flushing platform. So this is some pretty simple stuff. There's a couple different ways you could do this, but I'm just going to do something like so. You can actually break that block off. Pull the redstone over like this. You're going to want to take that away and put a block up above it so it doesn't cut that redstone off. And then to get past all of this stuff, you're just going to want to do a couple repeaters like that. I think another repeater there, a piece of redstone, then a couple blocks like this. You're going to want to put a couple blocks down like that, 3 solid blocks in a line. Redstone, redstone, redstone. You can see it connects there, so block it off. Then you're going to want to put a repeater, a block, 1 tick, into a piece of redstone. And there you go. So that should be the entire wiring circuit system thing done. This should activate the flushing platforms twice and also the collection area twice. Pretty cool. So now what we're going to do is basically you've measured this all out for yourself, so now you don't have to actually do any counting. That's one of the coolest things about this farm, is it really just measures itself out. It couldn't be simpler. Or it probably could be simpler, but anyway, you're going to want to do full delay repeaters all the way to the end, and then obviously this is tweakable. You can change the timing here if it's not working out for you, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So just extend all of these over to the edge, and what we're going to do is do a torch tower down to the bottom. So take this all the way over. Let's see if we can get to a spot to stop, and then let's see, how did I do it over there? It doesn't really matter. Let's put a block like so, and then you can just pillar downwards, or you can pillar upwards if you're doing this in survival. I'll show you how to build one of these up really quickly. Okay, I think the easiest way to do this vertical redstone is to place 2 blocks like this all the way down and make a pillar, and then do the same thing next to it. So come out a couple blocks like this, and then do another 2 tall pillar next to it, and then put ladders up there, and so you can go up and down this thing, and you can build this as you go up and down. You don't have to like pillar and build at the same time. So just take that block out and put down a torch, and then put down some redstone where it connects to. So that's basically the pattern. You want to break out 3 all the way, whoops, not like that. You want to break out 3, break out 3, break out 3, break out 3. You can see how that works. And then you're just going to want to put torch, torch, torch. You see how that goes, and that's why you have the ladders, so you can just go up and then place all of the torches, and then, you know, obviously redstone on top of all of these. So what this is going to do is it's going to bring that signal all the way down to the bottom. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll connect it to our flushing platform. Alright, you might want to put some lighting down here so you can see what the heck is going on. Another thing you're going to want to do is cover everything in 2 tall carpet. Any surface that you find other than the magma blocks, you're going to want to 2 tall carpet it. That way Enderman can't teleport on top of anything. Okay, so your redstone should be coming down like so, should be all ready to go. One side should be off, the other side should be on. That's how you know you got every piece in the right spot. Take a redstone like this. It doesn't have to be, this is not an exact science. It doesn't have to be perfect in any particular way. This is just how I did it here. I'm actually saying that we should probably switch this around so it's like so. And like, again, I just built this like this. It doesn't have to be in any particular way, just as long as the redstone reaches down here and then activates all of these dispensers. So the way we're going to do that is just face all of these one direction. Pretty easy like so. And then when we get to the other side, we're going to do something a little bit strange. So because this is going to activate right here, we don't need 2 dispensers there, so we can just start on that side. So just do that all the way around. Let's just do that real quick. Obviously, this is going to take a whole lot of string, whole lot of dispensers, and so I think that Il Mango said it in his video. I'll say it again here. You can just build part of this farm, then use it to get all the string to build these things with. So again, don't need those 2. And then obviously in these spots you can just put solid blocks. Let's do that on the other side as well. Very nice. Okay, so now let's do the redstone here. It's a little bit funky, but what's going to happen is this redstone is going to connect to that guy right there, right? So we're going to build like this, and then connect to these 2 right here. See how that works? So every other one, we're going to have the redstone snake across and then connect to both of them. So it's kind of weird, but the way that this is going to work is it's only going to activate each one once. You know, per line. It's not going to have the line activated in 2 separate areas. So that's how you do that. Okay, lay your redstone out, wire it all up, and everywhere where you need to, whoops, add a repeater. No delay necessary. You just want to have that redstone connect to everything. It's not too complicated. Some really simple stuff. And over here, it just barely doesn't make it. So like that, I'm talking about, delay really doesn't matter. So now, probably the most important part that you're going to want to figure out immediately is your carpet situation. So this is going to be a process. It's going to take a lot of materials, a lot of string. Obviously, like I keep on saying, you could use this farm to get string to do this with. But if not, use some kind of sheep farm. Cover everything in 2 tall carpets. That includes a redstone. It includes light sources, glass blocks, fence posts, all kinds of crazy stuff. Endermen can pretty much teleport anywhere, even onto redstone and stuff that things wouldn't normally be able to spawn on. So if you're in survival mode, I recommend doing something like this. Hop up on top of the redstone, kind of sneak around, and you can place it just like this all across everything. 2 tall carpet everywhere. Yeah, BRB. You want to do this pretty much everywhere where you can think of it. Okay, finishing touches. Spawn-proof everything, obviously. Double tall carpet everything, obviously. You can build it all up like this. Remember that this thing is going to move, so make sure to have a glass block up above it like so. So talk about finishing touches. Let's put 25 items in here. This is going to be the amount of time you're going to want to use. You can make sure that this is on. Ooh, this is actually built incorrectly. Check that out. Okay, so you might have caught it, but this piston got pushed out of place because I accidentally put a glass block where I wasn't supposed to, so be careful about that. You're going to want 25 items in the hopper. Probably going to want to turn that lever on to keep the whole thing from flushing, so make sure that little on switch is on or off, however you want to describe that. Yeah, you should be good to go. So there's the little 9x9 box of redstone. You've got the big delay coming out the side of it. Everything is all spawn proof. You got vertical redstone traveling down. Man, I think it's time to put in your freaking 80 buckets or something crazy like that. It does take a lot of buckets. So what I can recommend you do is, if you don't have Frostwalker boots, make sure to grab yourself a pair of those so you can walk around on here. If not, you could probably do it from up above here. But you're just going to want to make like a water source, like an infinite source, like right here. Something like that, so you can continually grab out your water and fill up all your dispensers. So make sure to do that. Fill up all your dispensers. It should be fine. You don't need to worry about the redstone going off or anything like that. Yeah, so I'm going to do that, and I will BRB. So I actually lost a clip of me showing you how to put the buckets in here because it's kind of complicated. So this is recorded after the fact, just so you know. Anyway, really quickly here, you're going to want to put the buckets in each one of these dispensers up top as well. We did so down at the bottom. Now we're going to do so all the way up through here. The issue is, though, that if you accidentally update one of these guys, oh, I don't have a thing. Let's get that real quick. If you accidentally update one of these guys, then it's going to drop its water, and the water is going to go and update all the rest of them, and they're all going to drop their water. The whole floor is going to be out of synchronization, and then when you activate this thing, it's just going to be a big mess. So what you need to do, basically, the way I did it, is I would keep a space open in my inventory, and that's what you click on the dispenser with, and so you're not accidentally, clicking on the dispenser with a bucket or a block or something if you're accidentally in sneak mode or something like that, so you don't accidentally update these. It's really important, because if you do update one of these floors, then the bud switch is going to get all messed up like I'm talking about. Trust me, it's a bad thing. So make sure you put all those buckets in without doing any updating process whatsoever. Make sure it's all in one orientation, so it's either on or off. In this case, it should be off. And I think you're ready to turn it on and start testing the thing. So let's go up here, let's hit the lever, and let's see if we messed anything up or if it's working for us. Obviously, if you do mess a floor up, if it becomes desynchronized, it's kind of GG. You're going to have to turn the farm off. You're going to have to go in there, you're going to take the buckets out, clear the water out, make it in the right orientation, replace all the buckets, and repower it. So it's a little bit of a process if you mess up. That's why I'm being very sure to explain that you should try and do this method with the empty hand to prevent yourself from accidentally updating it. So there you go, the whole farm's working. You should see this platform flush at a different time than these platforms. Now obviously what's also going to happen is that guys are going to spawn within the hitbox of more guys, and so sometimes guys will spawn here on the edge and it'll push another dude off. So sometimes mobs will fall into the water here, but that doesn't matter. That's one of the reasons why it's all magma blocks down there. Okay, so that's, I think, it. And I think you should have a farm that's working now, so go ahead and turn it on and see what happens. Alright, let's move on here. Well, this should just be cranking the freak away for you, no problem. This should be just raining down mobs. You can actually AFK down here if you've got a really good perimeter, but I recommend AFKing up at the top if you're building this in a survival world and you're worried about caves and all that stuff. Just remember to be 30 blocks away from any of these platforms, and mobs will still be able to spawn on them. And check it out, it's just kind of blows my mind how good this is in these optimal spawn conditions. And keep in mind, this is optimal spawn environment. You probably won't be able to get this good of rates in a survival world without a whole bunch of work. So anyway, what I'm going to do here, you can just see tons and tons of stuff piling into there. I'm going to try and solve the issue of having a hopper overload. So I'm just going to do a little tricky thing with an ender chest and an item filter and a little loop around. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's not too important. But what is important is that I'm going to AFK for 1 hour flat. 1 hour, we're going to see how many drops we get, and that's just going to be our flat, rough estimate of how fast this farm produces on the console edition in the optimal spawn environment. So it should be pretty amazing, more amazing than watching all these dudes rain down. So, like I said, I'm going to wait around for an hour, and I will BRB. Alright, well, I'm pretty sure you guys are actually kind of curious, I bet, about how I'm collecting these items. And so we're using the ender chest trick with the hoppers. You can see they're being aligned here against the ender chest, which allows them to be at the same time pushed on the ice and collected by the hoppers. So if one of these fills up, it's going to pass by it and go into the second one. If there's so many items coming through here, you see that they're going by. That's because it's filled up and it's going a little too fast. Then that's what the next one will be able to do, is collect it. Then if all of them for some reason fill up, then it'll go past it, it'll go back into the item stream, and it'll try a second time. And it'll just do that over and over and over again until it's collected. And so eventually, there is a possibility that this will have a bunch of items in it that won't be being collected, but once you turn the farm off, it'll collect everything. So that's how that works. Okay, so 1 hour later, let's talk math for a minute. So I took everything out of these chests. They did not fill up, thankfully. I took everything out of here and I organized it over here so we can look at it easier. So it makes more sense. So we got 2 full double chests full of all the normal drops. Check that out. In 1 hour, give or take a couple minutes. Maybe I tried to be as close as I could. This is extra stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. But each double chest holds 3,456 items, right? And so 2 of those together is 6,912. So that's how much we got of the normal drops. Let's just ignore the top bit just for now. And so adding all of this up together to that number is just over 7,500 items plus 27. So there's 7,527 items per hour, which is super good. I mean, it's not the best mob farm you'll see, but I think for console, it's pretty good. And for the amount of blocks and stuff that this requires, that is a pretty dang good rate. And also, it's a good amount of extra stuff, too. That's a good amount of redstone to get in an hour. I think a half a stack is very respectable there. Really good amount of ender pearls, so I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, guys, well, that's it for this tutorial for the day. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always with these kinds of videos, if you've got any feedback, any questions, I'll be sure to answer as many as I can down in the comments section. And if there's something you want to show me, like a picture of a mob farm that you've built, or maybe an upgrade or something I could do to this, send me a picture on Twitter if you feel like it, at HuxPlays. I'm always open to discussion. So thanks again for watching. Hope you guys liked it. I will see you in the next episode, next video. Have a good day. Bye bye.